and it helps support our trips to Chantry Island. So to start with, the reason that we do our boat tours is because we did a total restoration of the Keeper's Cottage. So the cottage itself had fallen into ruin. So this is what it looked like when we went out there. So the roof had fallen in, the windows were all smashed. And when we went over, we had to excavate the basement of the house. And we did a total environmental cleanup of the basement of the house. And then we restored it.
But did you find interesting things while you were
There was a few interesting things. There was a few interesting things.
Scary things?
Nothing scary. No. Nothing scary. There was actually like batteries from the lighthouse because
Okay.
it became automated in 1954, and then people couldn't live. It didn't need to live there anymore. So then that's why it fell into ruin. So in '97 we went over and we tried to start to restore it. As you can see, it was in pretty bad shape. So then, because of the way that the Keeper's Cottage was built, we did find some original plans. We had an architect help us with that, and they had to actually mill the wood themselves because the beams were so large. So 24-inch by 12-inch beams in the Keeper's Cottage. So they went out to Bob Trelford. He was one of our major volunteers, and they found the book. They took down the 200-year-old hemlock trees, and then they milled the wood themselves. And then with the stonework, they took some of the stone from the basement that they could reuse, but then they had to get some more. So then we had one of the local fishermen put all the stonework on a barge and barged it out there for us. Again, it was all a volunteer effort. There was no government funding. We didn't ask for government funding. We didn't try for government funding because we felt that it would add red tape. And we didn't want red tape. So then we needed a boat. The gentleman found the water rescue boat. This was our original boat. Wayne's going to talk a little bit about our boat, but this was the original boat that we had, and we used this for the first 10 years. They found it inside a building that they had to take a wall off to get it out. And then they fixed the boat. So those are pictures of it. These are the two gentlemen that were the project managers, Bob Trelford and Mike Sterling. So then they got building. Now we didn't have a big elaborate dock out there. This is what they used to dock. They would get so close with the bigger boat, and then they would row in, pull the motor up, and they had a rope that they would pull themselves in closer, and then it'd lift all the heavy stuff off. So they started rebuilding it, and then they got the interior going. So this picture here would be from the parlor, so you could see the tower. And they're both putting the second floor up, which was the loft. So they finished, this is the first winter that they finished it. And then we resumed the work in 2000.
Wow. It's impressive.
Yeah. So you can see a little bit of glare there. So the Rumford stove, the Rumford fireplace is rebuilt. We had a local stonemason come and do that. And then we furnished it.
Oh.
So Jane Kramer, the lady we met today,
Yes.
she was in charge of the furnishings because she used to be out there. So when she was a lifeguard on our Southampton beach, Ronnie Spencer, who was the last lighthouse keeper,
Yes.
he was in the Walker House and he got drunk. And he was rowing his boat, but he was rowing in circles. So she jumped in the boat and rowed him across, and she would take him home, give him a glass of rum,
And swim back.
and then she would
Yes.
swim back.
Oh,
So
yes.
she said she would throw a rock in the water to get the snakes out of the way, and then she'd swim back.
Vicki, how old was she when she did that?
How old was Jane?
When she did that?
She would have been in
60.
her 30s.
Oh, 60, teenager.
She was 17.
She was 16, 17.
17 then.
Yeah. That was an odd question. I didn't know that, so.
But to swim back, right?
It's
to
a
kill me.
Anyway, so Chantry Island is a federal bird sanctuary, and we have thousands of birds out there, and they turned it into a sanctuary in 1957. So it's protected. So we have the small boat. We have 9 passengers on board our boat, and the reason for that is because it's protected out there, we are limited to how many people we can take per day. So we stick within that limitation with the small boat.
Which is how many?
9 paying passengers, and then we have the captain, crew, and guide. So 12 altogether. So this was the opening day, August 11th, 2001. These are the previous keeper families that were the first to go over. And some of them actually cried because when they went up into the loft, they couldn't believe it. You know, they had been there and saw it in ruins, so. And then this would have been our first dock that we built every year. It's interesting because we don't, we don't know what Mother Nature is gonna dish out, so we don't know what kind of dock situation we're gonna have. But that was one of our first.